Hi, I'm Katie Mahalic, and today we're talking with Jeffrey Breslauer about his children's book, Abner the Clown. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hi, Katie.
How are you?
Very well. How about you?
Good. I want to know more about how this book came about.
Years ago, in fact, it was 1998, I was sitting at my computer staring at a blank screen, and all of a sudden, this character up and introduced himself in my head, calling himself Abner the Clown. I wrote down what he dictated. I said, "What kind of a name is Abner for a clown?" He goes, "That's the story." So I wrote that down, and the whole thing took me 45 minutes to write it.
No
It was
kidding.
almost like automatic writing. And I finished it, and it was, oh my goodness.
It's interesting because this is important for listeners or viewers to understand. I mean, you're saying, hey, this clown jumps into your brain, and oh my God, in 45 minutes, you now have a children's story written out. But tell me a little bit more about who you are in regards to the work you've done with puppeteering, with Jim Henson, with Disney World. I mean, this is a whole world that probably has been, marinating in your brain to give creation and birth to Abner the Clown. Tell me a little
Oh,
more.
even a lot older than that. When I was a kid, I think it was in first grade, my our first grade field trip was to New York, to Manhattan, to Madison Square Garden. And it was to see Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. And I
Wow.
was enamored with it. I absolutely found it fascinating. And one of the things that I found fascinating were the clown acts.
Why? Why?
Uh, there was a certain pathos about them. There's a certain slapstick about it. I was always a fan of Charlie Chaplin and the Marx Brothers and Laurel and Hardy. Red Skelton was also an interest of mine, and they were all clowns. And I just found the whole pathos and slapstick and comedy mix to be fascinating. And whatever character the clowns were in, it was very specific. It had even though it had an over the top look to it, they had a very specific look to them. It was almost like when they're on stage, as soon as you see them, you automatically know their character. And in Abner the Clown, they're all kid clowns. So Abner would ask kid questions. He could see kids eye to eye, and he would ask questions that and have problems that they would have. And the problem that he has is he doesn't like his name. What kind of a name is Abner for a clown? I wanted to be Chuckles or Fizzy or Freckles or Flip, Cuckoo or Dizzy or Zany or Zip, Cricket or Jax or Max or Maisie, Jingles or Bangles or Bungles or Crazy, Zuzu or Snooks or Buster or Willie, Teacup or Peanut or Slippers or Silly. Anything. I wanted to be anything but Abner. Kids loved it. One of my dearest college friends, a woman named Renee Van Engel Pachalski, is a special ed teacher in the Bronx. She had a copy of the book, and she not only read it to the kids, she had me on the telephone listening to the kids as they read along because they wanted to hear the book every day.
That's awesome.
So I was very touched by that. It was a real bucket list moment for me. When it finally got published, it got published around 2005, the first time. And it was a publishing company, a small one called Wandering Sage. And it wound up going to another publisher, which was Helm Publishing. A dear friend of mine, Diane Helm, wanted to publish it. She published it for a while, and then eventually she retired. So for a while, nothing happened with it. And I wound up moving to California because of the acting business. And I got together with Bruce, who I've known for years, and he reactivated his publishing site. And now Abner found a new home in Henry Gray Publishing. And one of the greatest things is that now, for the first time, Abner is available in paperback. I figured it was always a hardcover because the first thing little kids do is put things in their mouth.
Yeah, it's true.
So, in fact, I have the old book here. The pictures and the story is exactly the same. But when we first published it, this is what I looked like.
Wow, I love it.
I don't look like that anymore.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing. Like,
now I look like this.
but Abner didn't age.
No, Abner can't age. Abner will always be a kid clown, and he will always ask kid questions, and he'll be a friend to kids from all generations.
Was Abner based on a real clown or person?
Abner wasn't, but that litany of clowns that I gave the names, three of them were actual clowns. Uh,
Okay.
in fact, when I lived in Florida, my across the street neighbors, Larry and Muriel Heckler, who are no longer with us, sad to say, they were both clowns. Larry was Max, and Muriel was Snooks.
Okay.
And the other clown who's still with us, her name is Cricket. She was Cricket the Clown. And I was able to use their likenesses for the book.
How were you meeting so many clowns? Like, I know the answer is that in your line of work, but tell me a little bit more about your line of work.
I've been an actor, writer, voice artist, and puppeteer since around 1976.
Okay.
And I got to work with Jim Henson as a puppeteer.
Yeah.
And voices, I did voices, a lot of it in radio, in commercials. I did one of the Subway commercials during one of the holidays, and I actually got to say, "Subway, eat fresh," that whole thing.
Tell me about the illustrator, Linda Campbell.
How we found her, my ex-wife, my wife at the time, uh, went to a Steinway group. She was a pianist, my ex-wife, and she went to a Steinway event, and this woman, Linda Campbell, was there. And they talked, and it turns out that Linda was an artist. And of course, my ex-wife said, "Well, my husband just wrote a book." And so we agreed to meet. Anyway, Linda read the book and she wanted to take a crack at it. And we saw the first sketches of it, and we liked what she did. So we said, okay. Now, again, she had health problems, and it took 5 years for Linda to finish as much as she could of the 32-page book.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, it has been years and years coming and, a whole journey for this book in itself. What would you want children and adults to take away from this book?
That they are perfect as they are, that everything that they think is a problem with them isn't. They're the only ones that see their own flaws, and everybody else sees them for who they are. And people love you for who you are, whether you know it or not. And sometimes, if you're feeling down, just surround yourself with your friends, the true friends, and they'll let you know how much they love you for exactly who you are.
How did you feel when you held your book the first time you had that hardcover and now all these years later in your hands again? How did that feel to see it back?
both times feel the same. And I was in awe what I was holding because you always see libraries full of books,
Right.
and you almost don't even think about it that it comes from someone else.
Right.
But when it comes from you and you're looking at it and this is your baby and you open it up and I'm able to read my own words and see my own images, and it's it's stunning. My mother, who is no longer with us, unfortunately, she got to see Abner published, and she always used to say, "My sweet little Abner." So that whenever I see the book, that's what goes through my mind.
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
I like that. Jeffrey, thank you so much for speaking with us today. I really enjoyed hearing about Abner and where the tale came from.
It's my pleasure, Katie.
Thank you. Look for Jeffrey Breslauer's children's book, Abner the Clown, at henrygraypublishing.com or ask for it at your favorite neighborhood bookstore. Until next time, happy reading, everyone.